Good afternoon to everybody in the listening audience by Facebook and to our committee members, Kenny Barr, Wes Acton, Tim Kline, and Ann Damron. This meeting tonight probably won't be very long, but we have important business to conclude. I think the first thing we need to do is to review and approve the minutes from the last meeting. I assume everybody has read those. Are there any changes that need to be made in those minutes?
No.
All right, I need a motion to approve.
I so move.
Thank you, Ann. And I need a second.
A second.
Thank you. Minutes have been approved and will be filed. Okay, tonight we've got to go over the resolution, which I had sent to all of you all to read. I want to make sure that it is exactly what we all thought it was going to say. I just want to say that this committee, whether or not our suggestions are the ones that the court approves, I know they're going to work on all of them. You have done what we were asked to do, and that's really important. The most important thing that we did was to give the public an opportunity to participate. We got quite a few comments from people. Some were a little rough around the edges, but most of the comments that we received, I feel like, were well-intentioned and very sincere. We've said before, this was an emotional issue, and the comments, many of them, were emotional. And frankly, there's no way that we were going to prove to be able to make everybody happy. But I think that the five of us working together have, frankly, done a good job. I know that Judge Al Mattingly is very grateful for your work. You've been good citizens. This is what good citizens do. When they're asked to step up to the plate, they do it. And it has not been easy. I know that. But I think that we have done our job. And I have responded to all of the comments except the ones that were really not very nice. And some of you all may have responded, but I again want to say to the public, we appreciated your letters, your comments, your participation in this project. I think it was very important. Now, at the last meeting, we went over our two options. You all decided, rather than to send 3 possible options, that we would only send 2. And I'm going to read to you what I have written as our recommendation. And if this passes everybody's approval, then it will be sent on. After meetings from September 23rd through November 11th, discussions, comments from the public, and considerable thought and deliberation on the part of each of the committee members, we hereby submit our proposals for relocation of the Confederate statue from the courthouse square. The majority decision for relocation was to move the statue first to the Owensboro Museum of Science and History without the base. The feeling was this would be an indoor safe space and could be used to provide historic background. This site received the most positive comments, and committee members agreed this would be the best site. Number 2, Owensboro Museum of Fine Art without the base. Because George Julian Zolnay was a well-known and respected sculptor, because he had family ties to Owensboro, was husband of Abigail Gillum, because a trove of Zolnay papers have been discovered at the Smithsonian American History Museum, and because the model for the statue was an Owensboro and former Union soldier, the committee felt this was another safe spot and could be used for art education. This site received the 3rd most comments in favor after Elmwood Cemetery, but the majority of the committee felt the 2 museums would be safer and better able to be used for education. The 3rd part of the relocation recommendation is for the base to be moved to the site of the Battle of Panther Creek on Highway 431, contingent upon approval by the owners of the piece of property at that site, the United Daughters of the Confederacy. This was the site of the only Civil War battle between regular Union and Confederate troops in the county, and it is listed in the official records of the War of the Rebellion. It is an important part of history, and the committee felt this was appropriate. It seems important to note that the president of the Molly Moorhead Chapter 2605, local United Daughters of Confederacy group, approved placing the statue at the Owensboro Museum of Science and History, but had also favored Elmwood or the Owensboro Museum of Fine Arts. We never received possible sites from the state chapter of the UDC. We as a committee would like to thank you for the honor of serving on the Monument Relocation Committee and hope that we have fulfilled our charge. This was an emotional issue, and there was never one site that would please everyone. We have considered all the comments and had spirited discussions before reaching our recommendations, which we hope you will accept. Sincerely, and then we are all listed. Is there anything that I got wrong in this? Or did you see any grammatical mistakes, which would be terribly embarrassing for a former English teacher? But if you did, let me know so I can correct them. All right, do I hear a motion to approve this and send it to Judge Mattingly in the fiscal court for their purview? Don't everybody act at once. I need a motion. Short and simple.
I would like to add something. I'm a little concerned about the possibility of this statue ending up in storage.
Well, we're hoping that does not happen, Kenny. I had told you before, and I have talked with the judge, that could happen. It would be a temporary thing. The whole goal. I'm
afraid that it wouldn't be temporary if it ever made it that way, for the sheer fact that knowing the cost that would be associated with moving it. You know, we have a supposed person that's going to volunteer or donate the
we have donors, and the money is there, and they said they will come up with whatever is needed. Yeah, I can't tell you who it is.
To move it to storage would be their commitment to move
no
it out
one
of storage.
Wants to do that.
Yeah,
no one wants to do that.
But as a committee, I would like to voice in addition to that, I feel like we're fairly united on the fact that we would not like to see it go to storage, and add that to the recommendation that, you know.
I'm not really sure we can do that, Kenny, because once all we have to do, we can't determine what they do with it. All we can do is say, this is what we think should be done. That was our charge, and we have fulfilled it. So really, other than making personal calls to our county commissioners, which I would encourage you to do, there really isn't anything. We cannot say we want it this done or this done. It is simply not part of our charge. But that was a thoughtful suggestion, and I think we all agree with you. We'd rather it not. But I feel confident it's not going to be put into storage forever. That was never, ever part of the plan.
But you know, if it takes $10,000 to move it from the courthouse to wherever,
that's right.
It will take $10,000 more to move it out of storage to wherever.
I don't think it's going into storage, Kenny. And besides,
I hope not. But yeah, I worry with the.
Well, and I appreciate
about the logistics of what we're asking.
Well, what I know right now is that we were asked to do exactly what we said.
I know, but I think you really pinned down on exactly what we're told to do, and I don't think that it's too much of a stretch to add our concern about going to storage to that recommendation.
I can certainly put that. I can certainly put that's a concern, but it is simply not.
I'm sorry,
you know, I've tried to explain all along. It was like we went ahead and asked places if they would take it, but that was not part of our job. We're trying to get ahead of the court here. That's their job and their responsibility, and the expense, I know for a fact, is being covered, and it's not your tax dollars. That's all I can tell you. I know that the money is there. Yes, Ann.
Regarding Kenny's statement, could this not also be an added recommendation?
No, because that's not about a place to put it. Our job was to say, we think it should go here, or here or here. We could have given them up to 3 suggestions, but to say, we don't want you to move it until a certain date, or we don't want you to put it in storage, those are not decisions we can make. I'm sorry, that is beyond what
We can't recommend that?
I can say that you all are concerned about that. I can add a sentence saying that the committee expressed concern that it might be put into storage long-term. But
Why couldn't we,
That's all
why
I'm
couldn't we
asking.
just say we recommend that it not be put in storage as the 3rd recommendation?
because that's not a site, Anne, we have to give them 2 or 3 specific sites. And that's not a site. That's the same as saying, we don't
could
want you
always-
to take it down.
We can always flip it around, Aloma, and say, we recommend it go anywhere but storage. And that is a recommendation of a location.
But that's, no, that is not what we were asked to do. But I urge you,
Like it, Ann.
call your county commissioners. That's what they're there for. They're there to
Oh, I've
listen to
done communicated.
Well, this is what we agreed upon at the last meeting, and what I need right now, I will add a sentence saying the committee is concerned about it going into storage. But we need to approve this, and it will be presented before the Davis County Fiscal Court on December the 3rd, at their meeting on December the 3rd. They will read it. They will undoubtedly accept it, but they will ultimately make the decision as to where it should go. It may be one of the places that we have recommended, one of the 2, or it's very possible that the daughters could decide they want the whole thing out at Panther Creek. They can take it. But we have to give them what our thoughts are. And there's no point, frankly, in kind of like second guessing, but I will put that you all concerned about that. I think that's a reasonable addition.
All I'm asking. And I feel like we have unanimous support that we rather not, or at least 4 of us do not want to see it to go to storage.
Well, if they can't find a place to put it, it will come down. You see, that's we're back to that thing that we have no say over. It will come down. It will either go to one of these sites or another that they think is better than what we've recommended, or it can go into short-term storage. I don't think that will happen, but you have to consider that it's an option. But it will come down, and hopefully our suggestions are going to be in line with what our county commissioners, each of you were appointed by one of them, and our judge believe is the best thing. So what I need is a motion to approve this with an added sentence talking about concern for storage. I don't think we want this to just drag on you all. We're not going to stall.
Oh, but we want to do the job right. I mean,
Right, and you
yeah.
approved exactly what is here at the last meeting. And I know that Wesley and I changed some of our votes to go with the majority. Because frankly, there was another site that he and I thought should be second. But we decided that the idea of a consensus and working as a group and going with the majority was the thing to do. Today's decision is to either vote this up or vote it down. And I don't think you all really want to continue this silliness, because that's what it's becoming. I will add a sentence that says the committee is concerned about going into storage. This is what you people agreed to at the last meeting. I didn't make this up. This is what we agreed to. Wesley, I need a motion. Can you hear me, Wesley?
Yes, I can hear you.
I need a motion to accept
And my
this.
motion is to accept the recommendations that you have written with the added sentence. We're
Okay.
concerned about it going into.
About it going into storage. And I will do that when we get off here. All right, I need a second.
Is that, just so I understand, is that the exact language? That way everybody is on the same page and there's no questions later. What's the exact?
This is what I sent to you all, and I assume that everybody read and studied.
Right, my
this-
question is the additional sentence that we're talking about. I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. Why don't you write that down and then read it out and everybody will know exactly what it is that everybody's agreeing on.
Okay. After we talk about the UDC, I will add it right there. The committee as a whole expressed concern about long-term storage. Isn't that what you're saying?
That work
My
for you?
concern is about
Kenny?
storage in general.
We have no choice over that, you guys. Unless you're going to go down there and
We're not making
move
a
it
choice. We're
somewhere
just
else.
putting words on the piece of paper. Really, it was all this is
The
about.
committee
Anyway.
had, as a whole, expresses concern about storage for a long term. Because short term, it's not going to matter. You're not the ones that are paying to get it moved. The people who are paying would really rather not have to pay a second amount of money to
And
get
they
it.
won't. It's not, that's not their intention. Their intention is to get it off the
Actually,
courthouse.
No, actually, that's not true. The
Well, you know
person
more
who's
about
in
it than I
charge,
do, I'm sure, but
well, I do. The person who's in charge of raising the money has said.
I'm sorry.
that-
I'm continuing with my silliness. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You can be as silly as you want, but I just don't.
I do find that offensive that you said silliness.
Well, I'm sorry that you do, Kenny, but I find it offensive that we agreed at last meeting that we have discussed this ad nauseum and that there seems to be a move to stall and there's no point in it. Let's just get it done and move on with the rest of our lives. We've
I'd like to
made the
hear what Tim-
suggestions. Pardon?
I'd like to hear what Tim Kline has to say.
I mean, I'm fine with adding the language about it going into storage. I mean, I think at the end of the day, my feeling on this is that it'll be the fiscal court that will decide what happens. I don't want to see it go into storage, so I agree with Kenny on that. Heck, the fiscal court's not even bound to take it down. There's nothing obligating them to do that.
Yes, it is.
No, there's not legally a resolution. It's not binding. I think they will. I'm not saying that they won't. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. So all my point is that ultimately it's going to be in their hands what happens with this thing. So
Precisely.
I think we can communicate our concern about going into storage. I think I'd leave it at that. I wouldn't say long-term. I think Kenny's point is he doesn't want to see it go into storage at all. So I think
Okay.
if you struck that, maybe he'd be okay with it. I think I'd be
Okay.
okay.
I'll just say about going into storage.
Does that work for you,
And
Kenny?
it's certainly reasonable for us to have that concern. That's not a problem.
Does that work for
Okay,
you,
with-
Kenny?
Yes, it does.
With that
Okay, Ann?
added sentence, can I have a second to approve? Tim, I think it's up to you.
I'll make the second.
Thank you, Kenny.
I'll second it.
Okay. And all those in favor of approving this with the additional sentence, the committee as a whole expressed concern about storage, about the statute going into storage.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aggie.
Kenny?
I was lagging. I'm sorry. Where were we at?
We were voting to approve this with that additional sentence. I'm
All
sorry.
right. I lagged right in the middle of the vote. I don't know what happened. I will approve.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, the resolution passes. Now, I'm sorry that we were not able to meet in person because it's not the same. But with the problems with COVID, this was the best we could do. And frankly, a year ago, I'm not sure, certainly 2 or 3 years ago, we wouldn't have even been able to do this. And I do want to thank you. If I offended you, Kenny, or anybody else, please forgive me because I tend to speak rather straightforward sometimes. But I really have enjoyed getting to know you all and being on this committee with you. I think that you've all expressed concern, deep concern about your community. And I think that's important. I frankly think that we had a pretty hard job, and I think we've done a pretty good job of taking care of it. And now we have to sit back and see what the fiscal court decides to do. And they may say, it may not be possible that the places we want, maybe they won't take it. That would be the only time that storage would even come into play. And that is not what anybody on the fiscal court wants. I will tell you that. Well, I think, does anybody have anything to add?
I do.
Okay.
I'd like to thank Jordan Rowe for all his hard work and keeping us together and getting the electronics going for some of us that don't know how to do it.
Very true, Ann. Thank you so much, Jordan. I don't know. I think this is a learning process for most of us. Now, these two youngsters over here, Kenny and Tim, probably already knew how to do all this. I knew simply because of being on other committees. But I remember the first time I did one, it took quite a long while. So we've all learned something. We've used our brains. I think we've grown in lots of ways. Anybody else have a comment before we close? If you want to just say this has been a waste of time and I'm so sorry that you were the chair, that's okay.
Enough of that silliness.
Enough of that silliness. Well, you all are not a very talkative bunch, I must say. Well, then I would say that, again, thanking Jordan, thanking the judge and the fiscal court for giving us this opportunity, and thanks to the public who have tuned in to our meetings and made comments and expressed their concern for what happens in Davis County. And I think we can all make it a better county if we continue being this concerned. I hereby then dissolve this committee. This will be our last meeting. And I guess we do still need an adjournment. So I need a move to adjourn. Oh, come on,
So
Ken.
move.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Thank all of you very much. And I will get this ready to send in tomorrow to the court with the additional sentence. And I will send a copy out to you so you do see exactly what it says. Okay?
Okay.
Well, if everybody's happy, see you later.
Bye-bye. You all can't hear the jackhammer going in the background, can you?
No. What's going on?
Our neighbors are putting in a B-dry system in their basement and there's a jackhammer.
Oh, gee.
I thought surely you all could hear it because it's pretty loud.
I can imagine. Well, I saw a concrete truck put on my street today and I wondered where it was going. Maybe they were going to your street.
Maybe so.
Y'all all have a good Thanksgiving.
You too.
Bye-bye.